Toronto Raptors are coming off a solid 2024 NBA draft. A draft where they added 6 new players to their team. 4 rookies and 2 players they acquired in a trade with the Sacramento Kings. Overall, the Raptors drafted Jacoby Walter at number 19, Jonathan Mobo at number 31, Jamal Shed at number 45 via the Sacramento Kings, and Ulrich Chomsky, number 57 via the Minnesota Timberwolves. They also acquired Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vezenkov, and the Blazers' 2025 second-round pick for Jalen McDaniels. In the first round of the draft, the Raptors took Baylor combo guard Jacoby Walter. I did a separate video on this just the other day. You can check it out later if you haven't already, but Walter has a chance to be a prolific scorer. He has very nice upside defensively as well, and he can turn into a nice 3-and-D starter for the Raptors who can fit in nicely with Emmanuel Quickley and complement Scottie Barnes with his ability to hit shots. At 19 years old, the hope is that Walter will be an important part of this young core moving forward. Then it was off to day 2 for the Raptors, and my goodness, was this ever a crazy day 2 of the draft. I was expecting a relatively quiet day 2 as the Raptors were slated to just have the number 31 pick, but before the second round officially started, the Raptors got it started by striking a deal. And I think this was just an absolutely excellent deal by the Toronto Raptors. Seriously, you talk about a fleece, this was one in my opinion, because the Raptors traded away their worst asset in Jalen McDaniels, who's coming off a very disappointing season in Toronto and never found his footing with the team, and they turned him into Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vezenkov, the 45th overall pick of the draft, which ended up being Shed, and Portland's second round pick in 2025. Sacramento, they did shed nearly $9 million in salary for next season, so I get why they did it, but you look at what the Raptors are getting on back. Davion Mitchell, he's a player who never developed the way Sacramento imagined he would. He was taken 9th overall in 2021, Barnes' draft class, and he did show a lot of promise as a rookie, but then once his playing time dropped, so did his numbers. However, he's still just 25 years old and he still has untapped potential. You look at his game, he's a defense-first guard who's a really good on-ball defender, and he provides nice perimeter defense. And Mitchell right now pencils in as the Raptors' backup point guard. So the Raptors, they needed a backup behind Emmanuel Quickley. Then you look at Vezenkov. I think this is a piece that you can underestimate. He has nice size and can shoot. He hit 38% of his three-point attempts as a 28-year-old rookie with Sacramento last season. He should be able to benefit from a change of scenery and playing under a guy like Darko Rajakovic. And then the Raptors made their first selection of the second round, and they drafted Jonathan Mobo, a versatile big man from San Francisco. He was one of my top choices here at 31 for the Raptors. He's a longtime friend of Scottie Barnes, so it's cool because there's obviously a big-time friendship between these two players. They're both 22, and Barnes and Mobo actually grew up together in West Palm Beach, Florida. They were former AAU teammates, and Barnes, he approved the pick as he was actually at Mobo's draft party celebrating. So you look at Mobo, he has a chance to really boom. You look at his stature, he's 6'6" with a massive 7'2" wingspan. He's got the size of a big, but he can play and handle the ball like a guard. He has tremendous defensive potential. However, he doesn't possess much of a jump shot. He does most of his damage down low and on drives, but he was still an efficient scorer and finisher. He shot at 63.6% from the field. So with Mobo, there's going to be a lot of room for him to grow, but I thought this was a nice pick for the Raptors, the number 31. Now, guys, before we continue on with the video, I do want to quickly shout out today's sponsor, BetUS. BetUS, they are the #1 online sportsbook, and right now they're currently offering a 125% deposit match up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. And guys, I got an excellent bet for all of you, so I'm peeking and looking ahead to the odds when it comes to the 2024-2025 NBA Rookie of the Year, and I said it in my piece on Jacoby Walter. I think he has a chance to be the steal. So when I looked at Walter's odds when it comes to winning that Rookie of the Year, plus 8,000. That is ridiculous odds, I think, for Walter. And if you put $50 on that, you can win $4,000. So I'm making that bet. I'm betting on Walter. I think it's a wide open draft class where anybody can win the Rookie of the Year, quite frankly. So hey, why not back the newest edition of the Raptors, their first round selection, I'm going to put in that bet. You can tail along with me. You can use BetUS in Canada. Again, they are an awesome sports book, and they are a proud sponsor of this channel. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. So moving along here, the Raptors then used Sacramento's 45th pick to add 6-foot guard Jamal Shead. He played 4 years at Houston. He's the reigning National Defensive Player of the Year, and he's an absolute dog. He plays with great energy. He's a pest defensively. He helps spearhead that defense at Houston. He's a leader, and he has high basketball IQ. And I really like this analysis bit from John Hollinger, who wrote, Shead was the closest thing college basketball had to a Kyle Lowry clone this past season. So it's fitting he ends up with the Raptors. His ball pressure, energy, and intensity will have to make up for his small stature and if he's shooting. So you look at Shead, he's likely going to slot in as the Raptors' third string point guard as of now. And then before the draft was done, the Raptors also acquired the 57th pick from Minnesota for $1 million in cash. This is per Michael Grange of Sportsnet. And they selected Ulrich Chomchi. Yes, they got their new 2 years away from being 2 years away prospect. Shout out to Bruno Coloco. And I mean, you look at Chomchi, he's just a very raw prospect from Cameroon. He's drawing early comparisons to a potential Serge Ibaka. Chomchi is the first player to be drafted from NBA Africa Academy, and he's got great size. He stands at 6'10" with a 7'4" wingspan. He's only 18 years old, which makes him the youngest prospect in this draft class. And this is just your classic draft and stash pick for the Raptors, and he figures to spend a lot of time with 905. So there's no rush here. He'll have plenty of time to develop his game. And the Raptors, I think, are getting great value in Chomchi and number 57. You're talking about the second last pick in the draft. Raptors swooping on in and getting Chomchi. I was actually a really big fan of this pick. So you look at the Raptors, guys. They are now coming off a nice draft. I really thought the Raptors aced this draft. You just look at the players they added, the rookies, you know, the trade that they made. And now, in addition to that, the Raptors have their young core locked up. They signed Scotty Barnes to that massive extension. They just locked up Emmanuel Quickley, who signs a 5-year, $175 million deal with Toronto. RJ Barrett is under contract for a few more seasons. They got Grady Dick under contract on his rookie deal. So the Raptors, you talk about them getting very, very busy, really setting the foundation of this team. You look at the big picture, the Raptors have a really good idea now of where they're headed. And I thought this was a very nice draft. And you look at what the Raptors did in this draft. They added a lot of intriguing young pieces. And now the hope is that some will hit. And this is what Bobby Webster said, which I found really interesting. He said, we need to add some more young core pieces, and they're all not going to hit, but we need to start having those in the pipeline. And so the more picks, the more assets, the more flexibility, that's how you start to restock the cupboard as we go through this rebuild. So again, I thought the Raptors delivered in this draft. I know they originally said they didn't want 4 picks in this draft, but then they essentially got back into the draft on the second day of draft day and ended up with a total of 4 picks. So these are nice picks, and you add these to the pipeline, and the hope is that at least 2 of these players hit, I would say. I mean, you hope that Jacoby Walter can pan out as one of those big hits, and he becomes the type of player you want him to, you know, that starter that can fit in nicely with the Raptors' young core, and, you know, worst case scenario would be a reliable rotation player, and then hopefully one of those second round guys can truly blossom. You know, can Mobo develop? Can Chomchi become something big? And then obviously you have Shead as well that the Raptors took in the second round. So after the franchise committed to paying Scotty Barnes that massive deal, you know, worth up to $270 million over 5 years, the focus is to build around him and put together a team that can soon compete. So I believe the Raptors have taken some nice positive steps in the right direction, locking up their young core, having this nice draft. And yeah, we will see what else is in store for the Toronto Raptors, but they did most of their heavy lifting during this draft. It was a very, very busy 48 hours for the Toronto Raptors. So guys, just want to drop this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. That is it for me. It's Lucas signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all again in the next one.